Greetings everybody, I hope that you guys are good today. So we're now looking at EURUSD and we are on the monthly chart. In regards to the monthly chart of EURUSD, we can see that previously we had this very nice M structure over here, which has a neckline at that point, more or less, right? And you guys know by now that when it comes to M structures, we would love to see price break below that neckline and then head back to that neckline to test it. And at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, right? At this point in time, we are yet to see price revert to the neckline to test it. However, having said that, the neckline is no longer the most important structure at this point in time, as this level over here is now the most important structure, and that is because it is now the resistance level, right? So what I'm gonna do now is actually just mark that level. Just bear with me while I do so, guys. Let's see. So more or less there goes our resistance level. There we go. And just remember that resistance is an area and not so much an actual line, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do in regards to this particular structure is utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool just to see if the neckline aligns with any key numbers. So just bear with me. Fibonacci, there we go, there we go. Right, and we can see, guys, that the current resistance area, which is over here, aligns more or less with the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement level. So should price from where it is retrace back to this level, at this level is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, right? And that is because number one, it's a very strong level of resistance, and number two, the area aligns with the, or rather with a very key number that we have on the Fibonacci retracement tool. So what else, guys, do we see in regards to the monthly chart that we should be paying attention to? Another thing that is also very much interesting is the fact that we have this candlestick over here. It is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick, right? And what it tells us is that where that wick ends at the bottom, there's a lot of liquidity at that point, and chances are, even if price does not revert to this level over here to test it, we might see price continue to push further down to that level to grab that liquidity, right? So what I'm going to do now is just add a line to that structure, or rather to the end of that candlestick, as it is very much important. Let's see, there we go. We could say that at that level is where the liquidity is sitting. So is there anything else that we see on this particular chart of EURUSD that we should be paying attention to? I don't think so at this point in time. So what I will do is head down to the weekly chart, and here we are on the weekly chart. What do we see on the weekly chart that is interesting? On the weekly chart, I can see that price had created a very nice M structure at that point, which has a neckline at this level, more or less, right? We saw price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline and then heading back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we should have looked for potential selling opportunities, and our take profit should be this zone over here, because that is the next level of support, or the next important area, as I've mentioned that it is carrying a lot of liquidity at that point, right? So what I'm going to do is just add a neckline to that M structure. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. There we go, more or less, right? And what I'm going to do from here is head down to the daily chart, seeing that I don't really see anything else of importance in regards to the weekly chart, right? So let's go down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart. And the first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the daily chart is add my daily channel. So just bear with me, guys, as I do so. Let's see, daily channel, daily channel, daily channel. Just bear with me, guys, as I add my daily channel. Let's see. and I just want to make sure that it is pretty accurate. Let's see. So we could say that more or less this is our daily channel. There we go. Right, and then we can zoom in from here and have a proper look. Remember guys, on the weekly chart I said we had, or rather we have, just bear with me, we have this structure over here, which is an information and the neckline at that point. And I said to you guys that price broke to the bottom side of that neckline, went back to test it, and at this point is where we should have looked for further selling opportunities to around this point, because this is where we have a lot of liquidity at that point, and it's also a very strong level of support at this point in time. Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see in regards to the daily chart of EURUSD? Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is the fact that we have a W structure at this point. I know it doesn't look like a W structure, but as we head down to the smaller time frames, you'll see that we have a W structure at that point, right? It's a W structure and it has a neckline more or less at this point, right? And similar to M structures, when it comes to W structures, we want to see price break to the upside of that W structure and then come down to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we normally look for potential buying opportunities. So similarly, we have a W structure, price broke to the upside of the W structure and then came back to retest that, or rather to retest the neckline of that W structure. And what we, as I said, anticipate at this point in time is for price to continue to push further up, right? So what I'm going to do is add a neckline to that structure. However, I will do so on the H4 chart and not on the daily chart, but we just need to, in the back of our minds, keep the fact that we have a W structure here which has a neckline at that point, right? So let's proceed. So what I'm gonna do from here is head down to the H4 chart, and the reason why I say so is because I would love us to have a look at this W structure, and as I said, it is better visible on the H4 chart than on the daily chart. So let's do that. H4 chart, here we go. On the H4 chart, the first thing that I'm going to do is to just fix my equidistant channel. So just bear with me guys while I do so. Let's have a look. There we go. Right, and as I said guys, we are now on the H4 chart, and in regards to the H4 chart of EURUSD, we can see that we have a W structure over here, right, and it has a neckline at this point over here, right? So what I'm going to do is just plot a neckline to that structure, so just bear with me. There we go, right? So we can say that this zone over here is the neckline of this W structure. There we go, right? And guys, can you see that we saw price actually breaking above that neckline, right, coming down to the neckline to test it, and then it shot up, right? And then in the future we saw price coming over to this level to test it, and this level is still a very strong level of support, right? And as much as I said that we should be looking at this point as our take profit, there is a big chance that price from where it is may push further up, right? So we just need to be careful of that. Another thing that I'm going to do is to utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool, and I just want to have a look and see if the neckline actually aligns with any key numbers that we have on the tool. So just bear with me. Let's see Fibonacci. Let's see. There we go, right? There we go, and let's see. So we can see guys that more or less the neckline is over here of this W structure, right, aligns with the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level, right? So in my humble opinion, we should be looking for potential buying opportunities at this point, right? and that is because we have confluence. Number one, we have this W structure. Number two, we have this neckline being broken to the upside. Number three, we have price rejecting at this level, which is the neckline. And number four, we have the neckline aligning with a key Fibonacci number, right? To add to that, can you guys also see that we have what seems to be another W structure forming at this point, right? We have another W structure forming at that point, and what I would do at this point before looking for any buying opportunities, or rather before I make any buys, I would wait for price to actually close above the neckline of this W structure, right? And once it does so, I would wait for it to come back to the neckline, and at the neckline is where I would look for potential buying opportunities, and my take profit would be this level over here. Why do I say this level? That is because that level is the neckline of this smaller M structure over here. To add to that, just to zoom out a bit, remember that it is also the neckline of that huge M structure that I spoke about on the bigger time frames. Can you guys see that? Right. So that is it really in as far as my analysis goes of Euro USD. At this point in time, things are a little bit choppy, as you can see within this area over here. It seems as though price is moving sideways, and it also seems to be giving us a very nice W structure. However, if I can just go back to the daily chart, just bear with me. However, because on the daily chart we have this structure, right? Price went back to the neckline to test it, and I said we should be looking at this, we should be rather selling at this point, and our take profit should be this level. I would be a bit conservative in as far as looking for potential buying opportunities at this point goes, right? However, as I said, to be more on the cautious side, I would wait for price to actually close above the neckline of this W structure, and for it to head back to the neckline to test it. And at this point is where I would look for potential buying opportunities, and my take profit would be this point over here. And at this point again, I would look for potential selling opportunities, and that is because number one, we have this M structure which has a neckline at this point, and number two, if I can just zoom out, the very same area is the neckline of that huge M structure that I spoke about, right? Which means that this whole area here is a very strong area of resistance. So should price head back to this level, at this level we should potentially look for selling opportunities, and our first take profit should be this zone over here where we have this neckline of this W structure, right? So that is it really in as far as my analysis goes. I hope it makes sense, and peace out, guys.